Hey guys, welcome back to Testing with Destin. It's yet another hero this week. There's 5, and we have Gul'Drak. And Gul'Drak, I can't tell if I love his design or I hate his design. He looks kind of cool. I love his weapon. I love his little designs. And then when I look at his blue skin, I'm just like, is he made of Play-Doh? Anyways, Gul'Drak is part of the new kind of roster of infernals that are being added, and he is chaotic and infernal, and we're gonna see how good he is. His kit is incredibly confusing. I do have to preface that I will not be doing him fully justice because of how complicated his kit is. I'm not going to be able to really reach his full potential in this video, so I'm just going to preface that. I'm going to give you guys an idea of what he does, some areas I think he'll be decent in, some issues that I have with his kit, and that'll be the video basically. So just a heads up there. Anyways, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of these when they do come out. Helps the channel a ton. And let's get into it. So Gul'Drak is a fighter, infernal and chaotic, similar to Gretchen, who is also those factions. A lot of non-lord chaotics coming out. And then if we go into the stats, you'll see that he has 2 tile range. He has single target physical attack, multi-strike attack, and summon. His HP is actually pretty high at 27,000. His attack is very high at 6,700. Defenses are pretty normal. Cost is 19. Redeployment time is 30, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Attack interval is 3 seconds, which is a little bit worse than the average, but not by too much. Going into the kit, we have the reason why his redeployment time is half is because, well, his talent reduces his redeployment time by 30 seconds. After deployment, it triggers spawn, and the hero's attacks inflict bleed for 5 seconds on the target. Spawn is the main basis of his kit. After 40 seconds of being on the field, the hero retreats, so forces itself to get removed from the battlefield and creates a vestige at his position. This vestige is essentially a clone. It can't be healed at all, so if it takes any damage, that's permanent damage. And it also inherits 100% of the hero's attributes and all skill effects except for spawn. Up to 3 vestiges can exist on the field at one time. So you can functionally have about 4 of him on the field at a time. It takes a long time to set up, but you can do that. And they're always at risk of dying, but still, right? Going into the rest of the kit, we can see that we have physical attack 2 times on the basic, basically 140% damage total. First passive, each time the hero deals damage to an enemy, it's going to inflict a stack of open wounds on them. Open wounds last for 10 seconds. When Gul'Drak attacks an enemy with this effect, it's going to reduce his attack interval by 2%, stacking up to 10 times. He's going to attack 20%, not exactly 20% faster, but his attack interval is going to be reduced by 20%. Now, if the enemy does have full stacks, so all 10 stacks, the hero's also going to ignore 40% of their defense, and each instance of damage dealt reduces the remaining time until the next spawn by 1 second. So basically, he's gonna be able to leave a little bit faster, which is going to allow him to set up his vestiges and allow him to do more damage overall. Second passive is going to be when an allied hero or the vestige retreats or dies from the field, the hero gains 30% damage increase for 15 seconds. He also has arena cost reduced in arena, of course, which is going to make him 14 cost. And then the ultimate is one of the only ultimates. I'm sure there's other ones out there that I'm just not remembering, but this ultimate immediately triggers when he's placed, I'm pretty sure, and it does not have rage or starting rage at all. So there's no rage at all involved with him. He's just gonna let it rip. It's going to do 10 consecutive slashes at one enemy target in range. Each of them deals 160% damage 2 times and causes HP drain equal to 20% of current HP of the hero. This is similar to how Dracula works. Ignore shield and it directly reduces HP. Now this skill can only be triggered one time per deployment. It's going to happen, and then he's going to disappear a little bit later. And the hero actually cannot die while it is active. So you can place him down when he's getting hit, and he just straight up won't die, which is pretty cool. Going into the awakenings, A1, each time this hero is deployed, permanently increases his damage by 10%. This is going to stack up to 3 times to a maximum of 30%. A2 is going to be extra attack. A3 reduces the initial trigger time required for spawn by 15 seconds, which is actually a pretty decent awakening. Makes it, I think, 25 seconds. You can place him and then he'll leave faster, and then you'll place him again. This A3 is actually incredibly good. And then the A4 is extra penetration. And the A5, the hero can be deployed on the vestiges tile to kill it, which is considered a forced retreat. And if you do this, it restores 10% max rage to adjacent allies and doubles the number of slashes for the hero's next ultimate, basically doubling his damage, but he does have to kill the vestige. Keep in mind, the vestiges take his stats. So essentially, if there's a vestige and him, he's doing almost double damage, right? I don't think the vestiges can get their ult or his ult, but they still deal a lot of damage. So you can sacrifice that to make him stronger for an ultimate and do some rage. This A5, in my opinion, is kind of pointless, and I don't think anyone should be going for it. I know most people probably aren't, but you know. Anyways, build-wise, we have IR. IR works a lot better than Soulbound because he is being placed down and then leaving very fast. So there's less time to build up Soulbound. Either way, these are the stats, and I have a Shattered Hilt on. He does single target damage. While it does take some time to ramp up, it's still solid, in my opinion. Now, my main issues with Gul'Drak is just I don't know where to use him, because his vestiges can't be healed, and they're a large part of his damage. So all boss content in the game is not good for him at all. You know, areas like Guild War, you can't place him again, right? So he's just gonna leave and kill himself, and then you're gonna be lost. So there's 3 areas I do want to cover. The first one is going to be AMR. So the new AMR stages, I'm just gonna say right now, are incredibly difficult. A lot of these new heroes are actually designed for AMR, right? This is because it's hard as hell. I mean, not a lot of people have been beating it. Now, as you can see, Gul'Drak is in fact very good here. But regardless, this is the main area I think he'll be useful in. Going into the team, we're gonna just kind of do a pretty rudimentary run on 23. Like I said, the stage is very difficult, and despite, you know, higher stages being possible, they are kind of dependent on A5 Rosalia, and it's gonna take a lot of time. I just want to show you guys like how he works and how good I think he will be. So we're gonna just go through with this team. So main thing is Gul'Drak. Gul'Drak, I do think, is one of the single best round AMR units in the entire game going into this. So just heads up on that. Basically, this is dominated by tacticians. This is dominated by fast respawners. So Rosalia A5 gets a faster respawn. That's why she's so incredibly powerful. That's essentially what you're dealing with here. Now, we're going to Valara ult. Valara is also incredibly broken. I mean, she's always broken basically everywhere. But I mean, look at this chain lightning, right? At the top, I'm just going to be trying to keep things together, I guess I could say. And the bottom is going to be the main focus. What you got to know is the boss is going to have a couple different quirks to it. It's going to be immune to whatever type of damage is not being dealt. So if I deal physical damage, it'll become immune to magic. If I hit it with any magic damage at all, it'll become immune to physical, and it can be immune to both at the same time. Not only that, it generates a shield, and if you don't kill the shield with heavy single target damage, then you're just going to struggle. It also does a lot of damage, does a lot of AoE damage, causes a lot of problems. Gul'Drak doesn't die. Gul'Drak does a lot of damage. Gul'Drak comes back very fast, right? So he ends up being incredibly valuable. Also, something I learned because I actually beat the stage before even recording this part is he does in fact do 2 ults. So his vestiges do in fact ult as soon as they appear. So that's very cool. Anyways, we're going to do this. We're going to put down Gul'Drak right here. I'm going to place Neja, place Riven, just to help out a little bit because we are going to struggle. Gul'Drak is going to cleave through the shield like nothing, doing a pretty large amount of damage. It's not like the most amount of damage I've ever seen, but it's still a very good amount. We're going to move Alara down just to help out with the bottom. We can do this. Now Gul'Drak has died effectively, and he has left the field because it has been long enough where now that has happened. But because he didn't die earlier, his vestige is now placed, and his vestige has its own health bar. Its vestige can die. You know, there's a lot of things that happen with this vestige, and it's going to continue dealing a lot of damage. Now, something important that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make sure that the boss ends up on this tile, because I want this tile open for Gul'Drak, right? So I can actually place him here as soon as he's up. So I'm actually going to probably place Khadgrim right here. It's a little bit of a hard stage, so bear with me if I don't like talk much. As you can see, even the vestige doesn't die immediately. We could place down the Khadgrim right now. Actually, wait. I think what I wanted to do in my head was place Draylen there. Never mind, my bad. Either way, we're going to place down Wukong. Valderon is probably a better DPS for this, but regardless, we're going to do Wukong. We're going to get dealt with the AoE damage, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it's okay. We're going to Valara ult at the top. We're going to Wukong, which will give Draylen and Wukong an extra life. We're going to Gul'Drak right here for some extra damage. As you can see, the shield is up. We have to burst this down as fast as possible. And, well, we can do that because Gul'Drak does a lot of damage, right? And then even when he dies or disappears, he's gonna bring his other one, and the other one also can't die, right? So I love this interaction. I think this interaction is amazing, and it truly makes him quite good in this piece of content. Neja is going to die, unfortunately, though, and we are potentially gonna lose up here because of that, which is a little bit unfortunate. Rivenhold is not really the best at keeping people alive. Hopefully Ardea can clean up. Cost is a little low to place down Gul'Drak, unfortunately, so we may have the boss go invisible at the end of this and then kind of go through our units, but it looks like we're actually okay for now. Regardless, this is so nerve-wracking for no reason. It's so unnecessarily difficult. Gul'Drak died. Now his minion is actually going to do all the damage we need for the shield. We could do Wukong to help as well. I'm going to do Valderon to hopefully actually kill some things on Cyrus, which is a little bit tense, but, you know, Valderon will die here, but he'll be able to kill. As you can tell, I'm just freaking winging it, and it is a struggle, so bear with me here, okay? I'm trying my best, and something exploded and killed Ardea. Yay. Regardless, as you can see, the boss is actually in a good spot. If we had more cost, we'd be able to Gul'Drak a little bit more. Unfortunately, we can't because, you know, we're struggling. But regardless, we're going to place down Valara, which is going to be very important so we don't freaking die. We could Wukong here. I would like to sell Valderon so I can actually put down Gul'Drak with the shield. Oh my god, what is happening? I need to figure this stage out a little bit better, but regardless, we're still winning. He's gonna die. I don't... We're gonna place freaking Khadgrim there. We're gonna Wukong to help with the shield. Gul'Drak's vestige is gonna die again, as it tends to. We're going to Valara. We're gonna Gul'Drak again. And then we're about to kill him. Hopefully the vestige could actually do some good damage. Wukong hits, and bam, that's the stage done. As I said, I'm not great at this stage yet. I just got to it literally like 10 minutes ago, and this was my first thing that I did. And Gul'Drak does all of the boss damage. So Wukong obviously did a lot of damage, but regardless, an A5 Wukong is supposed to be one of the stronger DPS in the game. Regardless, you can still do some really good stuff with him at A0, right? This is his main use, in my opinion. The stage is designed for fast respawn. The stage is designed for heavy burst damage on those shields. The stage is designed for pretty much all the things that he does. Now, this is the main area I think he will be good in, and it is supported by the fact that he's on all of the higher stage clears from Banana Luck, who I recommend checking his video. He'll probably have it more in depth on AMR. And then Evil Planet as well, who's a great player as well. And you can just see that Gul'Drak is doing a ton of damage. So right here, you can tell that clearly he was the brunt of the boss damage. I don't know how the hell Cadgrim had so much damage. That shouldn't be possible, but regardless, you can check out their videos, which I do recommend. Here, Rosalia did most of the damage. Sergei, I think, is probably A5, which he is, which makes his damage a lot higher. And then we got Gul'Drak, who is also doing some good damage. So this is the main area I think he will be good. Okay, now the other area I think he'll be all right in is Malware Calls. I don't think he'll be that amazing personally, but I'm always welcome to be proven wrong. So let's see how good he is. Part of the reason why I want to do Malware Calls so bad is because it's one of the only areas in the game I can think of that is repeatable content where he will actually benefit from his mechanics. Mainly the fact that he can spawn 3 vestiges at once, right? So generally you think, oh, well, if I can place them all down, he's 4 times as strong as before. And in areas like bosses, you know, you're taking so much constant AoE damage. In areas like the new AMR stages, you're not only taking AoE damage, but there's also a lot of minions that can kill you, right? So you can't really set him up the way that you want to set him up. But in Malware Calls, you get a lot of time before the boss comes out. Now, on this one, we have Gilded Wardens, high attack. These guys are very tanky. If we get them to spawn, he'll cleave through them like nothing. We have less block, which is fine. And we have Scorched Destroyer. Scorched Destroyer is a good person to do single target damage to. Now, one thing I will do as well is I've already ran this once, and the boss actually came out very fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out Dracula and I'm going to put in Volca. Volca actually does decrease his respawn time, which is pretty cool. It's not a fixed respawn time, so it does actually scale with Volca, which is very cool. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to try to get this tile that I'm hovering over to be the main tile he's attacking. So we're going to place him up here. We're going to place down our Valara on the bottom. We're going to do Narissa. We're going to put down Cyrus like this. And as you can see, Gul'Drak leaves through them like nothing. It is single target though, which is not ideal for Malware Calls. Usually you want some more like AoE damage and stuff like that. Let me turn off Narissa. And then let me place Ardea at the top. But yeah, so Malware Calls is more AoE oriented. As you can see, he killed himself. Vestige, and then he respawns super fast. But yeah, so he's not specifically geared for it, but he still, in my opinion, does like enough damage to where I don't think it's the end of the world. Let's put another one down. And then at the top, we can do, I think we need to do Airless. And then I need to place another unit because we actually don't have enough block. Because we have less block for Ardea. Regardless, clear the top pretty well. And then we're going to place Malvira, and that should be good. Bam. And something else cool is when he kills himself here, he's actually leaving his vestiges down, and you get that deployment tile. So while he's like gearing up to be back, you know, if I need to, I can just put like a Valder on here to help out a little bit, right? Maybe to block. Maybe there's a runner or something. You know, like a lot of the time you have to sell someone yourself to actually make things work. But for him, you don't really need to do that. Now here, I'm actually going to Valara back a little bit so I can place him here. I want to see how good he bursts down the boss, okay? Leave me alone. I know it's not the best setup or the cleanest setup, but I want to do it. Regardless, he's doing actually some very good damage. He's competing with Valara. She's taking a lot of his damage. But once you set him up like this, I feel like he would kind of deal with the bottom not too poorly, which would be kind of nice. Last vestige has been placed down, and then he is going to be able to be placed as well. And we're going to see what we can do with bursting him down. So I'm going to wait until he's hitting Cyrus. As you can see, he's not even placed, and he's going to... Here, let me actually sell Valara. He's going to do quite a bit of damage to the single target guy, place down the fourth one, and he's doing pretty well. It's not like substantial, to be honest. It's a little less than I was hoping for, but regardless, it's not a bad amount by any means, though he will not be able to kill the rest. So unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily work. But hey, if you want like a little bit of single target damage help, he does it technically. I don't think he's like that great for Malware calls personally. I don't think I'll be using him in Malware calls at all. But, you know, you could use him on one side to help out. Like maybe this guy's coming through and you're like, oh no, I'm scared. Let me place him down here. And then his vestige appears. And now his vestige is going to help the top for the rest of the fight. So now I could place him on the bottom and then get another vestige. You see there's two vestiges here, right? It's something else you could do. Overall, though, I don't think he's really going to be that meta for Malware calls. He's going to be like an option, don't get me wrong. But just keep that in mind. Also, it looks like the vestiges are not getting targeted, which is kind of interesting. So, something interesting there. Anyways, that's Malware calls. Let's move on. The last area Gul'Drak may be decent in is Arena. I'm just going to say right now, he's not going to be meta in Arena. There's absolutely no way, and I'll explain why. Keep in mind, Arena feels slightly easier on Hesser still, but they did make it harder. So this is more of an even representation of what you might expect. Either way, we're going to do Valderon at the start, as usual. And then we're going to do the normal placements. And I'll show what I'm trying to talk about. Oh, I didn't mean to ult there. Whoopsies. We're fine. Regardless, once we do everything, I'm not going to do a full arena run. I'm just going to explain why I don't see a lot of potential here. So we could do Cadgrim, we do Dracula, whatever. Doesn't matter the order. Dracula would go up here above Valderon. Now, two reasons why Gul'Drak's a little hard to use. Number one is he needs a lot of cost to function, right? Generally, by the time you can place him again, you usually have made up all of that cost. But it is still a fact that that's a problem, especially for Arena. And the other one is, where the hell are you placing him? You know what I mean? Like, where are you supposed to place Gul'Drak, right? You could place him down here, technically. And then once he dies and he puts his vestige, you could place him where, right? That's an issue with Gul'Drak here. Now, there is definitely some other things that you could maybe look into doing, like, he doesn't die when he's placed, right? So you could always like place him off the start. Maybe if you don't have Valderon or something, you could figure something out there. I don't really think it would work too well because, I mean, if you look at what happened now, he just dies. Another thing that you could potentially do is maybe you could have like that Valderon start like normal. And then later on, you could use him as a tank. So let's say like a Valderon, a Diao-Chan, a Dracula, maybe. And then you could have it so that, you know, Gul'Drak can tank for a little bit. But the thing is, he dies after the 10-second ult. So then it doesn't actually work. You know what I mean? So there's like so many things you could hypothetically do that I just don't think would work. So this is an area that, you know, was recommended to test him in. I don't think there's any world where there's a Gul'Drak team that is meta. If you could find a use for him, maybe you're missing some units, maybe you get a lucky Gul'Drak pull and you're happy, whatever, then maybe you'll find some use, right? But currently, with Sergei being good, with the Sithra team being good, with just the normal Wukong team being better, it's just Gul'Drak doesn't have a lot of burst. He has a lot of setup, and then he has a lot of continuous damage. He does not have burst, and he does not have range, which are literally the two most important things for single target arena, right? He's not going to be good here. Regardless, what do I think of Gul'Drak as a whole? Do I think there's any other areas I could think of him being good in? The answer is probably no. I think he might be good in some unique situations where you need someone to do some burst, and then you also want them to tank a little bit. You know, he doesn't die in his ult, but his ult isn't long enough, and it takes too long for him to leave the field to leave a vestige that can also ult. So if he just dies in that time, he essentially gets no value, which is really lame and definitely isn't great. He might be okay in some campaign stages. Overall, though, I do think Gul'Drak has one single main use, and that is the AMR stage. The AMR stage feels specifically designed not only around him, but he feels like he's been designed around this. And like I said before, this is going to be some hard-ass content. People are absolutely going to figure out easier ways to do it, but it gets harder and harder as you go, to the point where most players will not be able to beat this at all, right? And he's going to maybe help that a little bit, right? So that's the main area. Apart from that, I don't think he's really worth pulling, in my opinion. He's, even for AMR, like, I don't even know if he's worth pulling because he's an ancient non-lord. There's no non-lord pity. I'm gonna say this in every video that talks about a freaking ancient non-lord. There's no non-lord pity. You could pull 1,000 shards and not guarantee you'd get a non-lord. You could pull 20 shards and you'll get 3 of him, right? Ancient shards are so hit or miss that unless they're like really good, I can't really recommend them necessarily. I would say if he's on a banner with a good lord, pull for the lord, and if you get him, then you'll have an easier time in AMR. You could use him in Malware calls technically. I just think his kit doesn't really have a lot of places in the game to thrive. You know, most areas in the game have continuous damage, or have minions that deal damage, or have, you know, things like that. And a lot of areas have, you know, a lot of stuff happening very quickly, where you can't really set up his max potential. And he does okay if you just place him down, you do his ult, and his vestige does his ult, you know, that does good. But I just don't think he is gonna be super valuable in very many places. So in my opinion, I wouldn't really pull for him unless you're going for collection, you're a whale, you have a use in mind that you really want him for. I think he's a cool hero, but he definitely isn't as good as I think he should be for being an ancient non-lord. Also, his Infernal faction genuinely has nothing to do with his kit, and it's like he doesn't even have it. It makes like no sense for him to have the Infernal thing. Infernals are for like guild bosses, and he doesn't... He can't even work in guild bosses. You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna do such a small amount of damage, kill himself, you place him down again, he does a small amount of damage, right? The vestige doesn't do anything. Really, right? It's just, you get what I mean. He seems like he's designed for stuff that isn't in the game and may never be in the game. That's my thoughts on him. There you go, I'm leaving it at that. Let me know what you guys think about him in the comments. I'll see you all in the next one, and Destined signing out.